Good evening, everyone. My name's Elaine Price, for those who may not know me, and I am going to be conducting a speech on informative speech tonight. Have you ever cruised the Mississippi River or skied the Horseshoe Lake and suddenly you get hit by a flying fish? The fish you just came in contact with is known as the silver carp. Also in the United States, its nickname is the flying fish. Over the next few minutes, I will give a brief history of how it came to be in the U.S., the dangers it poses to our fishing industry, and the dangers it poses to human beings, and what we are doing as a country to eradicate it from our waters, or at least reduce it in our waterways. The silver carp was brought to the United States from China by several Arkansas farmers. It was a way they wanted to improve the water quality of their ponds. They needed to control algae, and they needed to control the parasites. The carp was used for controlling the algae, but over time, the fish reproduce very fast. This was done in the early 70s. Fast forward to the early 80s, mid 80s, flooding caused these fish to go over into other waterways in the United States. According to the Arkansas Wildlife Commission, these fish are now residing in 23 states. They produce so fast, they can produce 50,000 to 5 million eggs a year. They can reproduce 2 to 3 times a year. According to Nathan Adcock, a Mississippi wildlife biologist, they have a natural impact on our food supply for our bait fish, our native fish, and in turn they have an impact on our harvesting recreational fish and also on our commercial industries. The fish can wipe out an entire fishing stock. According to a DiscoverMagazine.com, in an article, it stated that these fish can impact $1 billion fishing industry. The carp poses dangers to humans. They're the only known fish, the silver carp is the only known fish that jump out of the water. As boaters are traveling down the waterways, the motor of the boat frightens the fish and causes them to jump out of the boat. They jump in every direction. That's why when you see them jumping out of the water, they're just jumping just everywhere. They hit the boaters, they damage the motors of the boats, they cause a lot of damage. And you never know when they're coming out of the water unless you're running the boat. And this first time I ever saw this was on a program called Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Show that was actually done out of Memphis. Currently, there are no deaths have been reported due to these fish hitting anyone as they're jumping out of the water. A lot of facial and bodily harm, but no one has actually died from it. The process of trying to eradicate the carp will continue for years. The Aquatic Nuisance Species Task Force report rules were put into place to stop the transport, the release, and improper disposal of this silver carp. The Great Lakes have placed an electric fence at the Illinois River to keep them from swimming upstream to get into the Great Lakes, because it'll be a devastating disaster if they are able to get to that lake. They're just enormous feeders. And anyway, scientists are trying to induce or come up with a hormonal chemical that they can actually put into the lakes that would either reduce or stop the reproductive cycle of these fish. And this is according to Arkansas wildlife biologist Bill Posey. He also went on to tell me that conversations are going on about building more, or they actually have one facility in Kentucky, and they're actually talking about more facilities to process this fish. If they can't beat them, they're at least going to try to start processing them for human consumption. This is has been a little successful. They have fishing tournaments for them. There have been hundreds of thousands of pounds of fish caught to try to eradicate the fish. They're kind of winning, but they're still not in the Great Lakes. They're not in Sardis. They're not in Archibald. They're not in Enid, and they're not in Tombigbee. They're not in our lakes, thank goodness. In conclusion, while the silver carp was brought over to the U.S. for an effort to improve pond quality, the dangers quickly outweighs the good. The fishing industry, the human physical and economical dangers have initiated a response by officials to try to contain the silver carp population. They're doing this by tournaments, chemical induction to lakes, streams, and to explore more or build more fishing processes plants to try to eradicate the fish. So currently they're still not in the Great Lakes. So when you're out on these lakes, please, if you get on Horseshoe Lake, down in Mississippi, any lakes up north, wear helmets, because you never know where you might be hit. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.